You are looking at a perfectly sealed box, a beautiful machine. You will never open it. You will never see its insides. And the man who built it is demanding that the circuit board inside, a component you will never lay eyes on, must be beautiful. The lines of solder must be clean. The chips must be arranged in perfect symmetry. His engineers are furious. This is a waste of time, a waste of money. It serves no function. It's madness. This isn't a story about a product. It's a story about an obsession with the beauty of things no one was ever meant to see. And it begs the question that will define our entire journey today. What if the greatest revolutions in our world weren't born from a desire to be seen, but from a terrifying, fanatical need to perfect the things hidden in the dark? A great carpenter isn't going to use lousy wood for the back of a cabinet, even though nobody's going to see it. That was his justification. A simple statement from Steve Jobs that hid a universe of complexity. In the early 1980 seconds, as the Macintosh team was pushed to its breaking point, this was his hill to die on. The beauty of an internal, unseen circuit board. To his board of directors, it was financial insanity. To his engineers, it was tyranny. To the world, it was irrelevant. But what if it wasn't? What if that single, illogical demand was the key to everything? What if the reason your phone feels the way it does in your hand has nothing to do with the screen you're looking at, but everything to do with the soul-crushing battle over a piece of hardware you'll never touch? Stay with me, because the answer isn't in a business textbook. It's in the heart of a man who was publicly broken by the very company he created. We all know the icon, Steve Jobs. The black turtleneck, the blue jeans, the messianic figure who returned from exile to save Apple and, in the process, redefined music, animation, computing, and communication. We see the products, the keynotes, the billions of dollars. His success is a modern legend, a testament to vision, to a powerful mindset, and to relentless drive. The narrative is simple. A brilliant man had brilliant ideas. But that's a boring story. And it's not the true one. The real story is far stranger. It's the story of a man who operated on a different frequency, guided by a peculiar personal philosophy. So the big question for us today isn't, how did he succeed? It is, why was he so obsessed with the unseen? Why did he believe that the back of a fence, the inside of a computer, the parts in the dark, mattered more than anything? Because the answer to that question doesn't just explain Apple's success. It provides a blueprint for a different way to live, a different way to create. It's a journey that suggests true, lasting achievement isn't about the applause you receive, but about the integrity you maintain when no one is watching. This is the core of real self-development. Let's forget the triumphant return. Let's forget the iPhone. Let's go to 1985, the year the music died. Steve Jobs, the wunderkind, the visionary co-founder, is 30 years old, and he is being kicked out of his own company. Publicly. Brutally. Imagine the humiliation. The company that was your identity, your child, has just told the entire world it's better off without you. He wasn't just fired. He was erased. His projects were canceled. His parking space was reassigned. He was an outcast in the very kingdom he had built. Let's analyze this moment of peak pain. It wasn't just a business failure. It was an existential crisis. He later said he felt like he had dropped the baton for his entire generation. This was utter isolation, and in that void, he had to confront the consequences of a single, catastrophic decision. His mistake wasn't a product flaw or a marketing blunder. His critical error was believing that his vision, his obsession with perfection, was enough. He refused to compromise, refused to play the political games. He treated people like tools to achieve his aesthetic goals. He was brutally honest, relentlessly demanding, and he burned every bridge he could with the CEO he himself had hired, John Sculley. But here's where our story diverges. The enemy in this chapter wasn't John Sculley. It wasn't the board of directors. The true enemy, the one he was really fighting, was a ghost he had created himself. Let's call it the echo of the unfinished. This is the internal demon that whispers that nothing is ever good enough. It's the voice that drove him to demand beauty in the unseen circuit board. It was a relentless force for excellence, but it was also a monster. It made him a visionary, but it also made him an impossible collaborator. It saw compromise not as a strategy, but as a moral stain, a corruption of the pure idea. The echo of the unfinished didn't care about market share or board meetings. It only cared about its own perfect reflection in the work. And in 1985, that echo screamed so loudly it deafened him to the humans around him, and they cast him out into the silence. He didn't just lose his company, he lost his battle with his own ghost. This was his true healing journey, a path that required immense emotional intelligence to navigate. Now, conventional wisdom would tell you the lesson here is obvious. Learn to compromise. Learn to be a better team player. Soften your edges. In short, change who you are. But that's not what happened. And that is not the lesson. The profound, counterintuitive lesson from Steve Jobs' exile is this: your greatest flaw is inextricably linked to your greatest gift. The purpose of failure is not to sand down your edges, but to force you to find a playground where those sharp edges are the exact tools required for victory. His exile didn't teach him to be less of a perfectionist. It didn't tame the echo of the unfinished. No, it set him free. At his new companies, NXT and Pixar, there was no entrenched bureaucracy to fight. He could build the entire culture around his obsession. He could demand that the code inside the NXT computer be as elegant as the magnesium cube that housed it. He could push animators at Pixar to obsess over the reflection in a single drop of water. He didn't change himself. He changed his environment. He didn't kill his demon. He built it a cathedral to live in. And in doing so, he laid the groundwork for his eventual, triumphant return. He had to stay hard and true to his core philosophy. To understand the root of this powerful, dangerous obsession, we have to rewind. Not to the first Apple computer, but to a wooden fence in Mountain View, California. Steve Jobs was a boy. His adoptive father, Paul Jobs, was a mechanic, a craftsman. He wasn't an executive, he was a man who worked with his hands. One day, Paul was building a fence in their backyard, and he showed Steve that he was making the back of the fence with the same care, the same quality of wood, the same craftsmanship, as the front. A young Steve asked him why nobody would ever see the back. His father's reply etched itself into Steve's soul. But you will know. This is the origin story. This is the source code. It's a philosophy that is so simple and yet so profound. It's the belief that integrity isn't for an audience. It's a private contract with yourself. It's about building a beautiful back to the cabinet. It's about knowing the part of your work that no one sees is as solid and well-crafted as the part they applaud. This is the heart of true discipline. A daily discipline that builds character. This mindset is what separated him from his competitors. They were building products. He was building artifacts. They were focused on features and market share. He was focused on the feeling a person would have, even if they couldn't explain why. That feeling came from the integrity of the unseen parts. It's a quiet confidence that radiates from an object when its creator has cared about every last detail. It's a form of the law of attraction. Pour true quality in, and you attract an audience that feels it, even subconsciously. But let's apply the flaw spotlight method here to make him real. Did this make him a perfect Zen master? Absolutely not. Even after his return to Apple, his obsession with quality was paired with a brutal impatience. He would still publicly eviscerate an employee for work he deemed subpar. He struggled, until the very end, to bridge the gap between the perfect vision in his mind and the messy, imperfect process of human collaboration. He was still wrestling with the echo of the unfinished, even in his greatest triumphs. He was a master of strategic thinking, but his emotional intelligence with his team could still be a work in progress. It's a reminder that even for geniuses, personal development is a lifelong journey. You have to constantly focus on yourself. So how do we, in our own lives, apply this powerful and dangerous philosophy without being exiled from our own communities? We can distill it into a simple, actionable formula. I call it the back of the fence principle. It's a 3-step process for building integrity into your work and your life. It's about achieving your goals with a foundation of steel. First, identify your unseen circuit board. In whatever you are doing, writing a report, building a business, raising a family, pursuing your study motivation, find the part of the work that no one else will check. It could be the cleanliness of your code, the detailed research notes for a presentation, the way you organize your files, or the patient effort you put in when no one is there to praise you. That is your circuit board. Second, craft it for an audience of one. Dedicate yourself to making that hidden part beautiful, elegant, and excellent, not for your boss, your client, or your partner, but for you. This is the ultimate act of self-respect. It's a daily discipline that says, I care about my own standards more than I care about the world's applause. This is the core of Stoic motivation. No excuses. Third, let the integrity radiate outward. You don't have to announce it. You don't need to show anyone the back of your fence. When you operate with this level of internal integrity, it changes you. It builds a quiet confidence. It infuses your work with a level of quality that people can feel. It creates an abundance mindset because your sense of worth is no longer tied to external validation. You are already whole. And now, we return to where we began. That absurd demand for a beautiful circuit board inside a sealed box. We can see it now, not as the act of a tyrant or a madman, but as the ultimate expression of the back of the fence principle. It wasn't just a piece of hardware. It was a message. It wasn't a message to the customer, because they would never see it. It was a message to his own team. By signing their names inside the first Macintosh case, he was telling them, this is our work. This is our art. We will know. We will know that even the parts hidden in the dark are beautiful. And because we know, we are different. We are artists. That obsession wasn't about selling computers. It was about building a culture of deep, personal, unshakable pride. That is the motivational core of Apple's DNA. And in the end, that's the real path to a fulfilled life. The world will always be loud, demanding your attention, judging the front of your fence. It will ask, how bad do you want it? And tempt you to cut corners on the parts no one sees. But true peace, the kind of inner calm that can withstand public failure and public praise alike, comes from a different place. It comes from the quiet satisfaction of knowing that the back of your fence is beautifully made. It comes from being grateful for the process, not just the outcome. It's the acceptance that life will never be perfect, but you can choose to imbue your small, unseen corners of it with integrity and care. It's knowing that your self-development is a spiritual journey. This is the melody from a rusted nail, the symphony from a hidden circuit board, the legacy of a man who taught us that the most important work you do is the work that no one will ever see. What's the back of your fence? What is that unseen part of your life or work where you are cultivating excellence? I would be genuinely honored to read your story. Share it in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please subscribe and share it with someone who is building something beautiful in the dark. Until next time, be grateful, stay hard, and take care of the back of your fence.